I'm Carla Reeves, and this is Differently. Whether you feel stuck in survival, navigating a change, or seeking more for your life, may this podcast be your weekly nudge to take a risk, to build a life that is uniquely bold, authentic, and in alignment with your deepest values. After a decade of coaching individuals from corporate leaders to creative artists to multi-million-dollar CEOs, I'm convinced we are far closer than we realize to what we deeply desire, and it's a willingness to do differently that can change everything. What does it really mean to be successful? There's no shortage of answers, but deciding how you will define and measure success is one of the most important exercises you can ever do. Why? Because unless you take time to decide what it truly means for you to live a successful life, you can wind up spending your entire life striving desperately to measure up to the definitions that others have created for you and end up with a life that never felt like your own. I have found this to be true in my life, and I watch my clients in my private coaching program go through a process of really dismantling their own idea of what success means and creating one that is real and true for them. And maybe this is something we do more than once as we journey through life. Today's episode is about a recent discovery I made. I'm going through a Bible study with a friend of mine, and one of the recent exercises proved to be incredibly thought-provoking to me. And regardless of your faith or beliefs, I believe you will find this very thought-provoking too. So the exercise asked us to read scripture and then write down what the Bible was telling us about success, what God's idea of success is. Here's what I wrote. It's a list. Be prepared for His return. Be responsible for your own spiritual condition. Use well what God has entrusted. Serve others well, as if they were Jesus. Stay awake and be prepared, and be a caretaker of your time, talents, and treasure. Then the next exercise was to write down what the world tells us about success. And here's what I wrote. And this is where it really stunned me, because everything I wrote was the complete opposite of the first list. Number 1, be distracted. Number 2, be disconnected from your soul. Focus on outward appearances and status and title and money. Spend, consume, spend, consume. Serve yourself. Be asleep and numb and waste, or be a control freak. This really stuck with me for weeks and has become a new way to measure success in my own life and where I want to focus. And this reminds me of where differently comes into play. And it's how it's up to us to stay awake to what is true and what are the lies that our culture, our world around us are telling us that hold us hostage to this achievement vortex or this illusion of someday that we've got to just keep striving and we're going to get there. Really? And to make sure that I'm defining success in a way that aligns with my deepest values. So my invitation to you, does your idea of success fit anymore? How are you measuring success? And does that make sense? Is there something different you could do or something you could shift in how you're measuring success that would literally change everything? From my heart to yours, don't just continue doing what you've always done. Stop and do your own seeking to ensure that the motions you're making are giving you the life you want to be living. Would you like some support in challenging the old rules, uncovering the blind spots that keep you from moving forward and living a life that feels like your own? If so, go to carlareeves.com and book a complimentary call with me. Have a beautiful day, everyone, and I will see you next week. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Differently. I hope it stirred your thinking, and I invite you to take one inspired action from something that stood out to you. If you want to hear more conversations like this, be sure to hit follow on your favorite podcast app. And if this episode could impact someone you know, please help us spread the word and pass it along. Remember, new episodes drop weekly. See you next week.